One of the outcomes of the present-day COVID-19 pandemic is a greater awareness that we are part of a complex system. Human societies are complex systems, which themselves can be viewed as made up of social, economic, and political systems, among others. Among and within these multiple levels, there are intricate connections. This is one of the reasons of why it can be so difficult to predict with confidence the outcome of executive decisions and to define optimal policies to address our current crisis. It thus becomes crucial to look at our past by adopting big data approaches that combine a diversity of data on the different aspects that make up the human story. Our experience with this started in 2014 with the creation of the IsoMemo network devoted to isotopic data. Isotopes are the Swiss Army knife of archaeological research. Their applications are almost endless, from the study of past human diets or mobility as clocks or to study past climates and environments, just to mention a few applications. But how to collect isotopic data? To achieve this immediately comes to mind the need for centralized and standardized data sources. Our initial idea was to build a centralized hierarchical system with different levels, including a leadership that will define data standards and coordinate data collection. This would require a centralized data depository where users could deposit data once this was vetted. However, before implementing such a data model, we wanted to understand what were the needs, expectations, and concerns of those who produced data in the first place of already existing isotopic databases, some of them collecting data for several years, and of course, of the end users. End users essentially want to have easy access to high-quality data that should fulfill their metadata requirements and have wide coverage. Those who created the data in the first place through field or lab works want to see their efforts recognized. Data compilers, be it single individuals or already existing isotopic databases, expressed concern that a single centralized system will dilute recognition of their data collection efforts. Many of these worked throughout the years with very limited resources to create significant datasets, which they made freely available via their own data repositories. This is actually a key point, since such work is often used to support funding applications. Another concern of data compilers was metadata. When it comes to isotopic measurements themselves, the standards are well known. However, other metadata will depend on factors such as research region or time period. Thus, a one-size-fits-all may not be the best solution. Recognizing the importance of such different aspects, we started the IsoMemo initiative. IsoMemo is not a database but a network of autonomous databases operating under a distributive model. An equity principle is adopted under which all databases, irrespective of their topic, size, or resources, are treated equally. These databases are listed in a directory that offers links to their websites, data repositories, and publications. Under this model, it was possible to establish a global network of more than 30 databases devoted to a variety of topics, materials, and spatial and temporal ranges. But what about the needs of the user for data centralization and how to properly recognize the efforts of producing the data in the first place? Here, a technological solution was adopted which reverted the usual model for data collection. Instead of depositing the data in a centralized repository, a tool was developed that fetches the data from the databases within the IsoMemo network and maps it into a common schema. This tool was developed in statistical programming language R and It includes a browser-based shiny user-friendly interface, and it is essentially a search engine that allows users to merge data from different databases when these overlap, plus it offers access to original data sources. A positive outcome was the realization that under such a collaborative and distributive model, there is the development of self-regulation among the different communities for data collection. For instance, although data overlap is possible among IsoMemo data communities, this is limited and often the metadata is complementary. Importantly, through this distributive model, research collaborations emerged, some of them at a global scale. Following the experience with IsoMemo, different questions emerged. Could the same distributive model be replicated for other non-isotopic data types? How to best explore the integration of diverse datasets? For instance, consider skeletal samples subject to ancient DNA, osteological, and isotopic analysis. Although such data may be stored in separate databases, it will be useful to have the capability of merging relevant datasets. This will require improvements in data traceability, which can be achieved using unique identifiers such as DOIs. Data communities also raised other points. For instance, how to achieve FAIR principles concerning data visibility, findability, and reusability. While some data communities lacking resources asked if it will be possible to help with the setting up of a space for data storage and management. To address all such points, yet a new technological solution was developed, the Pandora data platform. Before describing Pandora in greater detail, here we must acknowledge the support from several institutions that you can see in the slide that provided funding, know-how, and technical support via a large team of programmers and data scientists. The Pandora data platform is once again a technological solution which focuses on supporting and building data communities and networks among these. Autonomous data communities are assigned spaces within the platform which they self-manage using a user-friendly interface. This is essentially a simple web page whose contents are defined by the members of the community. More importantly, it includes multiple features to self-curate data and to address the goals listed previously. Communities can set up datasets and upload files to these or instead give links to files stored externally. So when creating datasets, in addition to metadata, it is possible to assign a new DOIs plus metadata or list already assigned DOIs. A schema markup is used so the data is indexed and findable by external search engines. Communities are free to assign different roles, its members, and the type of license and visibility to be given to each dataset. As with IsoMemo, the system is free and open to any data community devoted to study of the human story. Furthermore, the Pandora system allows the data communities to set up networks of datasets which can be devoted to different research goals. In practice, this can be used to merge data on common elements among the different databases. For instance, the IsoMemo network is now included within Pandora to link datasets from its data communities. We are finalizing a new R-based search engine tool that is based on the IsoMemo tool but now allows for the merger of data from Pandora data communities and networks. It will also be possible for a user to define own data merger criteria and save these queries. So the development of Pandora is in a final beta stage of development, but we would like to invite you to test it at pandoradata.earth. Distributive data models place the attention of the data communities and the developed technology merely serves to support this. We are also working on the development of several open-source modeling tools, including machine learning techniques for the study of complex historical systems. In the following slides, we would like to list some of the projects employing such tools among the 36 data communities within Pandora. Several projects among Pandora and IsoMemo data communities are devoted to investigating the spread of populations, cultural phenomena, and technologies. An example of the latter is the wheel, which many of us associate its origin to Mesopotamia. The Digital Atlas database, headed by Florian Klimczak, collected the dates for circa 3,000 wheel artifacts or depiction of the wheel. The modeling of this data, however, places instead the first development of the wheel at circa 4000 BC in the North Pontic area. The modeling also suggests that most likely the wheel was introduced to Mesopotamia from the Pontic region via a road along the Caucasus. Also, a focus of different Pandora and IsoMemo communities is study of the emergence and spread of farming practices and how this is linked to urban and socio-economic developments. The collection of the entirety of published human isotopic data for North America up to the 16th century, a project led by Tracy Billing, allowed for the spatial-temporal tracking of maize consumption, which you can see represented in this animated figure by tones of green which correspond to higher values of carbon isotopic ratios. As you can see, large consumption of maize initially started in the southwest, and from this it spread into the rest of the USA until it almost fully covered it. The adoption of maize cultivation has been associated to the development of urban settlements, such as the impressive site of Cahokia, neighboring present-day St. Louis. For Cahokia, one observes rapid adoption of maize and how it was also accompanied by an increase in dietary variability, suggesting the development of socio-economic hierarchies. Returning to the theme of pandemics, there is no stronger imaginary than that of the Black Death, which supposedly killed somewhere between 1/3 to 1/2 of the European population during the 14th century. To assess the impact of the Black Death, a major effort was undertaken to collect pollen data from lake cores located all over Europe, a project led by Adam Izdebski. The analysis of the results revealed that the impact of the Black Death in Europe was actually quite varied. Although some regions like Italy, southern UK, northern France or Scandinavia witnessed a major decrease in cereal production, other regions, such as Central Northern Europe and Eastern Europe in particular, experienced a major increase in cereal production. These results clearly show that we must revise the European history of the Black Death. In the last case study, I will mention the Compendium Isotoporum Medievi, a collection of 50,000 isotopic measurements for medieval Europe compiled by Carlo Cocosa. Using artificial intelligence, the variables influencing human isotopic values were ranked. Environmental aspects, like to location, were identified as the most significant, followed by religious and cultural affiliations. Focusing on the site of Rome, it is possible to observe that at the end of 5th century, there is a clear reduction in human nitrogen isotopic values indicate of a lower consumption of animal protein. Using novel Bayesian methods to integrate isotopic, archaeobotanical, archaeofaunal, and historical data pertaining to human diets, it was possible to estimate the caloric contributions from different food groups during the Roman period and to compare these with modern Italian diets. Pandora is under continuous development. For instance, we are considering developing a mirroring system similar to R to decentralized data platform, and we already working in the development of novel unique identifiers and data schemas. We are also developing novel artificial intelligence tools to aid research data communities in data collection. We should also mention that in some cases we offer funding or technical support to develop local data communities. If you would like to know more about Pandora and if you are interested in setting up your data community, please visit us at pandoradata.earth or follow us at Twitter.